Thomas C. Short wrote, "When I was a youth, I went to the movies, and I always came away from the theater knowing who were the good guys and who were the bad guys. The good guys usually wore fine clothing, rode white horses, used better English, had wholesome faces, and were nicer to their animals. Their saddles were often studded with jeweled stones. Many signs were given to help me understand who was good and who was bad. Now as an adult, things are not nearly as clear and simplistic. I went to see a movie recently and it was so complicated that it was several hours before I realized who was good and who was bad. And still I have some doubts about my conclusions. In this parable, Jesus is telling us that evil is very cunning and shrewd. It is camouflaged so perfectly that we sometimes have difficulty recognizing it. It's not just a matter of knowing who are the good guys and the bad guys on the movie screen, but it is also difficult to differentiate between good and evil in our own lives. Good and evil live side by side and sometimes appear to be identical twins. There is a film I remember watching not too long ago entitled My Man Godfrey. I don't know, has anyone ever seen that movie? No? It stars Dick Van Dyke as a butler in a mansion in New York City. Godfrey was in charge of an elderly woman's household, but there was a problem. The woman's money had run out, and Godfrey was unable to pay the household bills. So Godfrey called all of the other staff members together and devised a plan. They would steal from others to pay the woman's bills. Well, all went well for them for a while until a detective discovered their guilt and their crimes and conspiracy to shield their elderly patron from her troubles were brought to light. They were simple, honest folk who conspired to keep up pretenses for their employer, who was unable to even pay them. Their hearts were in the right place, but they went about it in the wrong way. I suppose you could say they were like Robin Hood and his band of merry thieves, robbing from those who had the wealth and giving it to their poor old mistress. In our gospel reading this morning, Jesus tells the story of a crooked steward in a rich man's household to his disciples. The master of the house learns of the steward's wasteful ways and calls him before him, and we read in verse 2b, God bless you, what is this that I hear about you? Turn in the account of your stewardship, for you can no longer be steward. Whenever we are in a position of trust, we must continually earn that trust, whether we are mechanics working on cars or if we are bankers working with other people's money. This steward, who was in charge of many things for his master, was not doing a good job and lost his master's trust. But then the steward said to himself, what shall I do since my master has taken the stewardship away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do so that people may receive me in their houses when I am put out of the stewardship. So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he told them to reduce the debt that they owed the master. A preacher named King Duncan wrote, he did this with all of the master's debtors, gaining their complicity in his thievery. By his own admission, he was not strong enough to dig and he was too proud to beg. So what else could he do but steal some more from his master? This guy's ethics were certainly out of whack, but his sense of survival was kicking in at full speed. He used his privileged position to buy himself some friends so that he would have somewhere to turn when he was out of a job. He was taking a risk. Of course, the risk that his boss would have him thrown in jail. That's what should have happened, of course. But this is Jesus' parable, and let's face it, Jesus sometimes thought outside the box. How many of you here watch the TV show Survival and Big Brother? Anybody? I guess it must be a younger generation thing. Survivor, yes.
Yeah.
You watch that?
So pretty much day one.
Simpson. And what season is it now?
I don't know. We haven't watched it this year, but pretty much since day one.
And Big Brother, that's another one.
Yeah.
Well, for several seasons on TV, people, including my daughter Tracy and her family, have been glued to their sets watching two shows, Survivor and Big Brother. But when you think about it, both of these shows are based on the cunning and deceit of individuals in order to win the game. We have, in essence, glorified the steward on TV. We reward those who are shrewd and dishonest with major prizes. Like the master in the gospel text this morning, we applaud the shrewdness and dishonesty of those who will do anything to win. In our gospel reading this morning, Jesus seems to be commending the behavior of these people and the crooked steward. Because in verses 8 and 9 we read, the master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of light. So what are we to do? Do we defraud others for our own gain? In Romans chapter 6, verses 1 through 2 in the NRSV, we have an answer. What then are we to say? Should we continue in sin in order that grace may increase? By no means. How can we who died to sin go on living in it? My friends, we are to be good stewards of all that God has given us, that we might use all that we are and all that we have for the betterment of our neighbors, our community, and our country. It doesn't mean that we should use any means possible to fund projects and programs in the church and community, but by using our minds and cunning to come up with ways of funding functions and events in ways that are acceptable to Jesus' teaching and our trust in him. Jesus teaches that we are to use our money, time, and talents wisely. We are to be good stewards of our resources. This story is told about 18th century evangelist John Wesley. John Wesley understood the spiritual struggle many people have with the place of money in their lives. Here was the irony of his ministry. The Wesleyan revivals were turning people, many of whom had serious drinking problems, into sober-minded, hard-working, responsible individuals. In fact, some of Wesley's converts became so successful that they began letting their commitment to Christ slide. They had allowed their success, their affluence, to become their God. And in reality, they were as lost as they were when Christ first touched their lives. Wesley's solution? He saw only one, that they should earn all they could, save all they could, and then give all they could. Let me put his formula in the present tense, for it is a good one. Earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can. Many people today can do the first two, but they have difficulty with the third. Why? Because money has taken over first place in their lives. In verse 13 we read, "No one can serve two masters at the same time. Either you will hate one of them and love the other, or you will be faithful to one and dislike the other. You can't serve God and money at the same time." You see, my friends, when we stop focusing on ourselves, we are able to see others and their needs more clearly. This is true of the universal church as well. And it is true for us here in this congregation. If all we can see is our problems, our own financial needs, repairs and upgrades to this building, and being a small congregation, how can we respond to the needs of others in our community who need plumbing repairs or a roof, or care when they are recovering from surgery, or even if all they need is someone to listen to and to hear them, and I mean really hear them? While it is true that this congregation has contributed a lot of time and money over the years to different charities and organizations, the question still remains: is there more that we can and should be doing for our brothers and sisters, not only in our community and this corner of our state, but all over the world? You see, if we are faithful in our ministry in the small things, like supporting those in our community through our generosity and caring, we will be given more to do, more by caring for those we do not know, our brothers and sisters in far-off lands, though we may never meet them or know who they are. In verse 9 we read, "I tell you, use the riches of this world to help others. In that way, you will make friends for yourselves. Then when your riches are gone, you will be welcomed into your eternal home in heaven." My mother's belief for most of her adult life was that if you give all that you have and care for those around you, you will be given more than you need. And for her, it was true. She would always give, but she would always receive more. Maybe not more in money, but more in respect, more in love, more in care. You see, my friends, by being good stewards of the resources given to us, we will be given blessings beyond our imagination. Who do we serve? Are we good stewards?